Good morning and welcome to Waking Up with Don. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Today we're going to meet Tricia Berry. She's a nurse practitioner at Gulf Coast Dermatology, and she's going to tell us some of the things we can do to protect our skin and some of the things that can go wrong with your skin. Tricia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, nurse practitioner at Gulf Coast Dermatology. Let me ask you something. What is the most common skin malady or condition that you see?
As far as cosmetic skin conditions, I would say lentigos, or just uneven.
What'd you call it?
Lentigos.
Lentigos.
Or sun freckles. When you are exposed to the sun over many years, you have changes in your skin tone, so it gives you that uneven look to your skin. Not dangerous, but cosmetically, not many people like to have them.
Yeah, people don't like those little freckles, yeah.
And then as far as the dangerous lesions that I see, the most popular for people who are exposed to the sun over many years is a precancer or an actinic keratosis.
Yeah, I had something like that. It was a squamous something or other.
Well, an actinic keratosis is a precursor to a squamous cell carcinoma, a squamous cell cancer. An actinic keratosis is treated a few different ways, but the most popular way is by freezing using liquid nitrogen.
I think they just got mine out. I'm pretty sure that's what I had. But I did want to ask you, though, we live here in Florida. You know, your skin's important. And for a guy like me, I'm like, you know, I've got that Mediterranean complexion. I don't need sunblock.
That you couldn't be any more wrong.
I was.
In fact, people of color, whether they're from Asian descent, African American descent, you actually need to wear sunscreen. You can still develop a melanoma, a basal cell carcinoma, and a squamous cell carcinoma, although maybe more rare than the others, if you're a person of color.
So it's not just Northern European people that need to wear a sunblock, it's everybody.
Now, and it's those people who have the fair skin, red hair, blonde hair, green eyes, blue eyes, they're going to have more skin issues than someone with a darker complexion. But all people, all skin types need to wear sunscreen. And I recommend, and the American Academy of Dermatology recommends, that you wear a sunscreen with an SPF of 30 or higher. And you should also look for those sunscreens that also carry a sunblock agent with them. So sweat-proof, waterproof, I always recommend to my patients. We live in Florida. Even running errands, you're going to, wipe off your sunscreen over the course of the day, and that's what I recommend.
Yeah, I get a tan right through the windshield. That's how easily I tan.
And think about people who spend their day in a vehicle all day long. They're at risk for skin cancers. Bus drivers, their hands, I recommend to them that they keep sunscreen in their bus, and they put sunscreen in their hands
on your knuckles
every time that they drive.
That's interesting.
People of FedEx, UPS, they have a driving side. Their left leg is usually tan and their right leg isn't. So they are at an increased risk for those issues.
We've got to run off to a break in the local weather, but let's talk more about that on the other side of these messages. You're watching Waking Up with Don, and we'll be right back after your local weather, brought to you by the West Pittman Law Firm, westpittmanlawfirm.com. Welcome back to Waking Up with Don. I'm speaking with Tricia Berry, and she's a nurse practitioner from Gulf Coast Dermatology, and we're talking about skin health. Tricia, spring break is right around the corner. What should we be looking out for? I mean, people are going to be out on the beach, they're going to be boating. I mean, what are some tips that you can give us, and what should we be looking out for?
I think the biggest tip that I could give spring breakers of all ages, including parents who are taking care of toddlers, is that you need to know that it is more cool these days to not have a tan. It's more cool these days to wear the long sleeve barrier shirts, a hat. Cover your kids with a wide brimmed hat.
It's very true, and I don't mean to interrupt, but it is very true, because I remember, like, growing up, I'm a little older than you, but I remember my sisters putting baby oil on and laying in the backyard trying to get a tan.
Exactly.
And just cooking themselves.
Or parents being okay with the beginning of the summer telling you, go out, get your base tan. You'll be good for the rest of the summer. No longer should we promote that with our children or our family or our friends. I really, really recommend not going to indoor tanning salons.
Really?
It's not safe at all. The amount of vitamin D that you are told that you could get from an indoor tanning salon is not worth the chances of a melanoma. The real problem with dermatology patients is that they think that a melanoma couldn't happen to them, and it can. When we're seeing it happening in girls and boys in their young 20s, it's a problem. So when you have a mole that starts to change, you need to see a board-certified dermatologist to have it checked out.
So you should do like an occasional self-inspection, shouldn't you?
You should, and you should look for places underneath that you wouldn't think of. So the soles of your feet, in between your between your toes, having someone else look at your back.
Yeah, and that's true. Who looks at their back? And you can look and say, I wanted to ask you, though, about the artificial tans, I guess, for lack of a better term. What's the difference between that light and regular sunlight? That makes it more damaging.
A tanning bed?
Yeah, a tanning bed, yeah.
They are, the amount of, the intensity of the rays that you're getting from a tanning bed is so much more so than direct sun. It's so much more dangerous.
Yeah, so it's not a healthy thing to do.
Not at all.
So, now you should have a healthy pallor about you rather than a healthy tan.
And an alternative, I would recommend self-tanners.
Like spray tan?
You can. And spray tans can be done very well these days.
Yeah,
to look natural.
Tricia Berry, we are so out of time, but thanks for coming on the show and giving us some tips on how to keep our skin healthy and making us aware of some of the gross things that can go wrong with it, too.
Anytime.
You're watching Waking Up with Don, and now we're going off to Zenobia for your Max Biz Tip of the Day.
Zenobia Andrews here, your business system strategist, and I am delighted to be here in the Max Out Studios bringing you your Max Biz Tip for today. Now, all week long, we've been talking about procrastination and the effect that it has on your potential. Procrastination is that thing that keeps kind of holding you back and preventing you from taking action today on the things that you know that you're accountable for, or that you have been dreaming about. Procrastination it truly is a bad trait to have as an employee, an employer, and especially as a business owner. As a procrastinator, you're pretty much seen as unreliable. Colleagues, they can't trust you. Your clients, they feel like you're unreliable, that they really can't place something that's really important into your hands and know that you'll follow through. It reminds me of when I was in school and the teacher would partner you up with this other student that you knew, you had this big project, but you knew they weren't going to carry their end of the load with the assignments. Well, that's because they were a procrastinator, and that is so frustrating. Listen, you don't want to be that student way back when in grade school that no one wanted to partner with because they knew that they weren't going to follow through and take action on what they were accountable for. Listen, I'm Zenobia Andrews, your business system strategist, and I am here to support you. You can reach me at www.zenobiaandrews.com. And hey, if you follow me on social media, I will definitely follow you back. And let's continue to press towards the max.
I'm here with David Powell from Innovations Credit Union. David, what do you got for us today?
Oh, well, Don, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Always enjoy a visit with you. But I think today I want to talk a little bit about some tools that we have at Innovations to help kids sort of understand about money and learn about savings and budgeting and those kind of things.
That's important because,
Sure.
When do kids start to realize that, not everything's free and mom and dad pay for everything. You got to work, you got to earn, you have to save.
You do.
And at Innovations, you help kids learn those lessons.
We do have
don't you?
some tools for just that purpose. So in addition to the regular savings accounts, checking accounts, and things that most people associate with the credit union, getting car loans and those kind of things, if you go to our website, which is innovationsfcu.org. FCU stands for Federal Credit Union. So innovationsfcu.org. And you click on products. There's a tab on the side that says the iCrowd. And the iCrowd is what we've designated to denote our series of tools for kids from 9 to 18 and even young adults can go there and find tools and games and stories that teach them how to budget, how to plan ahead. There's even a little game where younger kids and teenagers can calculate how much it costs to have a pet.
Wow.
And there's a game called Money Mission that some of the older kids might enjoy, where they can go and do different jobs in the game to earn money to then purchase different things in the game. And it teaches you the time value of money. Working a certain number of hours produces a certain amount of income, which then you have to go and budget to buy things at the various stores in the game. So those tools are pretty cool. I've actually spent some time in my office, don't tell my boss, playing the Money Mission game. But it's a cool, fun, easy way for kids to learn about budgeting and how to really use money.
That's instructive for kids, and I think it's important because you try to teach these lessons, early in life, and some kids don't ever learn that lesson until they're out on their own and they're almost adults, and they realize, oh wow, I've got to pay for this stuff.
Yeah.
And how do I budget? How do I create a budget?
It's hard.
How do I save?
It is hard. And in fact, for kids that are 18 or a little bit in the older section of the teenager group, there's a game in there called CU, the letter CU for credit union. CU Succeed. And it teaches the older kids about how to prepare for work, to get a job, how to budget in real-world scenarios of paying the bills, like the utilities and the rent and the gas and the food and those kind of things. So, there's a segment in there really geared right toward those high school kids who are about to go somewhere. They're either going to go to college, or they're going to go to trade school, or they're going to go out and get a job, but they're going to go somewhere, and they're going to have to work. Their parents, I guess, probably hope to get them out of the house and go to work.
Yeah, I remember my son asking me, hey, Dad, how do you balance a checkbook?
Yeah.
And he was in middle school, and he wanted to know how checks worked.
Yeah.
So we sat down and explained it to him.
I'll tell you, I remember being 18 years old and going to my dad and saying, okay, Dad, I'm going to move out with my buddy. And he says, that's fine, son. And as soon as you prepare a budget and let me approve it, you're welcome to move out, and I'll help you move your stuff. And so I go to my bedroom, and I get out the pad and paper, and I quickly realize that, oh, wait a minute, this isn't as easy as it sounds. Yeah. And then I show him my budget, and he says, well, what if your truck breaks down and you have to replace the air conditioner, or you have to replace a water pump, or what if you move to some place and you have a burst water pipe, or you have to have some maintenance done.
Yeah, you got to expect the unexpected sometimes.
So good old Dad really gave me my first lesson in budgeting as a teenager, and I've never forgotten that. So hopefully our online tools can help kids really work on understanding about budgets and money and value and how that all works.
And of course, the youngsters can always go into Innovations and open up their own account, can't they?
They could. They could go to any of the 6 Innovations locations in Bay County, and the nice folks working in those branches will be glad to open up a checking account for you, or a savings account for the kids, and you'll find that they're very pleasant and helpful.
David Powell from Innovations, thanks for coming on and getting us smart about our money.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the show, and thanks for watching Waking Up with Don. I'm here with Laura Abbott, and you might remember Laura from a previous interview that we had here on the show. She's a Tai Bo instructor. But you know what else? This Renaissance woman is also a children's book author. Welcome back to the show, Laura.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, last time you were here, you kind of worked me out, and I was, hurting, and I think I'm a little still sore. But now you're back here with something really cool, and you've written 2 children's books.
Yes, sir, I have.
And they're published, and they're available on Amazon, and they're doing pretty well.
Really well.
And this one, I Love You to Infinity.
I Love You Infinity, yes.
Now, what is that, your first or second book?
That's my second book.
And your first book is Daddy Shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what inspired you to write that?
My children are my biggest inspiration, and my son just loves to sit on his daddy's shoulders, and I just took that and kind of ran with it and just tried to think of the things that he was imagining he could be while he was sitting on his daddy's shoulder. So that's kind of what this book is about. And it's also about the protection and the loving arms of a father figure.
Yeah, and I know just thumbing through the book earlier, you can be a bird, you can be a superhero, you can be anything when you're on Dad's shoulders.
Exactly.
And any dad worth his salt knows, what fun it is to have your kid taking a ride up there.
Yes, exactly.
When my son, who's now 20 years old, was little, I used to mow the lawn with him on my shoulders with the old push mower.
That's your workout, right?
Well, I'd stroke out now if I tried to do it, but a little Tai Bo maybe get me back in shape for that.
That's right.
But at the time, it was just a really cool thing for me. great bonding experience, and he just loved it. So
Yeah.
you know,
And what kid doesn't?
what kid doesn't is right. So Daddy's Shoulders was your first venture into, and what about the
Yes.
artwork here, which looks very professional?
Thank you.
Did you do that as well?
I inspired the artwork. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually computer generated.
Uh-huh.
Since it was my first book, they wanted to have complete control, so they
Mm-hmm.
used all of my ideas, but they redid it graphically in the computer. So
Okay, and that was
since
Daddy's
it sold
Shoulders.
well,
Mhm.
they let me have free reign on my second book, and let me have complete illustrations on my second.
So
book.
this is all you
It's all me.
in the second book.
That's right.
Well, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Now, when you start, how long you been writing? I guess. I mean, was this something that you inspired your children? Your children inspired you to do this? Or was it something you did or was thinking about for a long time? Or
Well, my children
Yeah.
definitely inspired these books, but I've been writing since I could pick up a pencil and write. I mean, I entered art contests as a kid and won a lot of them, and I was always writing and creative writing. It's always been a passion of mine.
yeah. So and what about the drawing too? You probably get a
Yes.
fair degree of that.
Definitely. I love to draw. It's relaxing. It just takes my mind away, and
You know, I'm always kind of jealous of people who have these childhood hobbies that come to like fruition. You know that you know every kid sketches or draws or doodles. Every kid at some point in their education writes a short story that they really like. But to continue on with
it
that,
has to be nurtured.
yeah,
Definitely.
and take that into adulthood,
Right.
and then do something great like this with it. You know, I mean, that's pretty cool stuff, man.
Thank you.
If we've got to run off to a break, but maybe on the other side of these messages, you can maybe give some advice to young writers and
Sure,
young artists,
definitely.
and you know how to get published and your whole journey through this.
Okay. I'd love to.
You're watching Waking Up with Don, and we'll see you right after these messages. Welcome back to the show. I'm speaking with Laura Abbott, who is a mom, a trainer, an author, and a Renaissance woman.
Thank you.
Hey, you know, before the break, we talked about young authors and how they can get published. Well, what's that like, trying to get a book published?
It's a long process, and it's made even more difficult since 9/11 happened. The publishers just simply do not accept unsolicited material. Unsolicited meaning you don't have an agent. So you really have to research and find yourself a literary agent.
9/11, what did that have to do with it? Was that just kind of a pivotal time in the publishing industry?
No, because of all of the packages that would come in to the
gotcha.
post office that
Yeah,
were
you just can't
hazardous.
send a manuscript.
Exactly. They really try.
Yeah.
They really cut down on that.
Yeah, I mean, anthrax was going through the mail
Exactly.
and things like that.
That's exactly why.
That's true.
So it's made it more challenging.
And you don't want to really email your manuscript anywhere because then it can get legs, I guess.
Well, no, some publishers, they will accept maybe a chapter or two that way. It just really
Mm-hmm.
depends on the publisher. They are all different, and you really have to do your research.
So do you need an agent? Did you hire one?
I didn't for this one. This one I kind of lucked out
Mm-hmm.
and got in on the ground floor. It was a very small publishing company, so I didn't really need an agent for that. But for my third book, I would prefer to get an agent and get in that way.
So back to your first book, though, you did your own research on publishing houses.
I did.
And you kind of figured out where your chances would be best.
You know, it really was word of mouth. I really was blessed with a good friend who knew about Tate and told me about it, and I
Tate
went for
Publishing?
it. Yes, sir. And I wanted to make an offer as well. If anybody sees me on this show, they can go to my website, which is going to be shown on this screen. And if they buy my book and message me and tell me they saw me on your show, I will send them a free gift.
Okay, well, that's good. So what's your website?
Laura-Abbott.com.
Laura-Abbott.com.
Yes.
Very cryptic. It's your name.
There's a lot of Laura Abbotts out there.
I
so.
guess there would be, you know, if you do a little search, a little
Yes.
Google search on that. Speaking of that, now how can we get your book if we wanted to buy it?
You can go on my website and I can send you a signed copy, or you can go on barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, or straight to Tate Publishing.
What advice would you give young writers if they're trying to get
Just
published?
persevere. Keep going. If you really want to get published, don't give up.
Yeah, just keep
Just keep trying.
slogging
Keep
away.
researching. Don't let the rejection letters get to you.
Did you get a few of those?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did
yeah.
you?
Oh, heck yeah. Tons of them.
How many times did you send a manuscript in? I mean, how many rejections did you get before you finally got published?
Man, when I really started working on it, it took me years.
Really?
Yes. Years and years of just trying, and then even reworking different books and saying, okay, this isn't working anymore. Let's try something different.
I saw an interview with Stephen King once, and he originally threw out the manuscript of Carrie, and his wife pulled it out of the trash can and sent it to a publisher, and that was his first big hit. So you just never know.
Exactly. You never know.
Okay, what's that website again?
Laura-Abbott.com.
Laura-Abbott.com to get a copy of your book.
That's
and,
right.
and a bonus prize.
Bonus prize if you tell me that you saw me on Waking with Don.
All right, Waking Up with Don. And that's the end of this show, and we'll see you guys next time.